Before Adam's breath, heaven already trembled. Creation was complete, yet not at peace. The angels stood in perfect light, waiting for the next command. And then the voice spoke, "I will make a being of dust, and into it I will breathe myself." The command rippled through eternity like thunder through still water. Some bowed in joy, others in awe. But one stood silent, radiant, unbending. His name was not yet cursed, it was Azazel, the fire that questioned. He watched the void become flesh and whispered, "Can dust contain divinity?" The question echoed and heaven shivered, not from disobedience but from awareness. For the first time, perfection hesitated, and in that hesitation, destiny found its path. The stars pulsed slower, as if waiting to see what the first doubt would create. The angels gathered as God shaped the dust into destiny. They saw hands that had formed stars now mold weakness with tenderness. Into clay, he breathed eternity, and the first heartbeat of man began. Light bowed before mortality, but one angel's flame dimmed. Azazel saw the contradiction, infinite power kneeling before imperfection. If you breathe yourself into them, he thought, who will they worship, you or themselves? The heavens sang, but his silence grew heavier than song, and when the voice said, "Bow," he felt the fire inside him rebel. He wasn't defying, he was understanding too much, and knowledge burns even angels. His wings quivered with the weight of thought, and the moment he hesitated, heaven stopped breathing. Obedience was the law, choice was the test. One by one, the angels knelt before the dust made divine. Their wings folded in reverence, their halos dimmed in surrender. But Azazel stood still, wrapped in silent flame. "Bow," said the archangel Michael, his voice like thunder. "To dust," Azazel whispered, "to the reflection of what we already are." Heaven froze. The voice spoke again, gentle, absolute, infinite. "This is not about dust, but obedience." And yet, obedience without understanding felt like blindness. His wings flared, his eyes blazed with sorrow. "I will bow to you, but not to that which forgets you." The silence that followed split creation in two. And in that silence, eternity learned that loyalty can also bleed. He did not shout, he simply stood. The refusal was quiet, but it rang through eternity like lightning without sound. Other angels looked away, some trembled, some envied. He was not pride, he was conviction. "If you made them in your image," he said softly, "then why demand worship through them?" The voice answered with silence, and silence became judgment. Azazel's light dimmed, not from punishment, but from separation. Heaven wept, earth had not yet learned to cry. His wings turned from gold to ember, glowing with purpose beyond command. And so, the first fall began not from arrogance, but from too much love for the truth. The stars watched him descend, torn between reverence and fear. And in his fall, knowledge found a body. Heaven does not destroy, it refines. Azazel was brought before the throne, surrounded by legions of fire. The voice spoke, "Why defy what I have decreed?" He bowed his head, though not his soul. Because understanding should not bow before ignorance. The words struck like swords. Lightning flashed across eternity, not wrath, but revelation. "Then you will learn through distance," said the voice. "Fall, and find me in the void." And with that, grace became gravity. He fell through stars, through silence, through himself. Each feather that burned became a question humanity would one day ask. His scream echoed not in pain, but in awakening. And the first tear heaven ever shed was for him. He did not fall into darkness, he created it. The space where he landed pulsed with forgotten light. His wings smoldered, yet they glowed faintly, proof that even exile carries memory. From his tears the first shadows were born. "This is not hell," he said, "this is reflection." He looked toward heaven and whispered, "You made me seek, now I will teach them to question." And in that vow, knowledge was born. The stars blinked nervously, unsure whether to mourn or honor him. He built a throne not of pride but of thought, and the first kingdom of understanding began to rise beneath creation. The void answered with soft echoes, as if learning to speak for the first time. And thus, wisdom gained its shadow. Knowledge became his worship. He gathered the fallen, not evil, but awakened. "We are not forsaken," he said, "we are the keepers of the unanswered." They built a realm where curiosity was sacred and obedience was silence. Each soul that doubted heaven found him in dreams. "Ask," he whispered, "for God is not afraid of your questions." And though heaven named him lost, he smiled because the voice had told him once, "Find me in the void." He had, and he was still searching. The winds of eternity carried his name as a hymn, and even silence began to listen. Even banished, he was never gone. When God created time, Azazel stood outside it, watching. He saw history before it began, the rise, the fall, the faith, the fear. He saw prophets who would speak truth and men who would silence them. He saw religion born from remembrance and power born from misunderstanding. And in every age he whispered the same truth to those who would listen: do not worship me, remember what you are. For his rebellion had never been against God, but against forgetfulness, and so he became the watcher of wisdom, unseen, unthanked, unending. The timeline pulsed with his shadow, and time itself bowed to understanding. When the garden bloomed, his echo returned. He saw the same test repeated. The new creation asked to obey before it understood. The serpent's whisper carried his question once more. Why did he forbid? And Eve listened as heaven once had not. Her eyes opened, and so did humanity's. The voice watched in silence, and for a moment smiled. Azazel, from afar, felt both sorrow and triumph. He had kept his promise. The fire that once fell now lived within mankind's mind, and in every act of seeking truth, the angel who refused to bow still rises. The trees of Eden trembled with remembrance, and creation remembered its teacher. Heaven calls it rebellion, he calls it remembrance. The archangels fight still, not with swords but with purpose. Michael guards obedience, Azazel guards awareness. The two are not enemies, they are balance. For faith without understanding is tyranny, and understanding without faith is emptiness. The war is not of heaven and hell, but of silence and seeking. Every time a human questions divinity with love, a feather of his wings ignites again. And somewhere beyond the stars, heaven listens because the voice never stopped answering. The war never ends because creation never stops learning. And both sides, in truth, serve the same flame. In the end, even rebellion bows to truth. Azazel stood once more before the voice, not as servant, not as accuser, but as understanding itself. You told me to find you in the void, he said. I did. You were waiting there. The voice smiled, and the silence filled with warmth. Then you have learned, it said. Light that questions becomes wisdom, light that obeys becomes peace. Both are me. And in that moment, the first rift in creation healed. The angel who refused to bow finally understood that bowing and rising are the same motion, just seen from different sides of eternity. The fire within him calmed into still light. And heaven and the void finally exhaled together. Even heaven needs contrast to remain divine. Azazel became legend, then myth, then warning. Yet his echo remains in every human doubt, every philosopher's dream, every prophet's silence. His story is not of pride, but purpose. For without the angel who refused, obedience would never have meaning. He stands still at the edge of creation, neither condemned nor forgiven, simply necessary. The stars above are his crown, the void beneath, his altar. And when humanity dares to ask why, his flame flickers again unseen, but never extinguished. The silence of God is not absence, it's invitation. And Azazel still listens from between the echoes. At the end of all beginnings, he stands again, quiet, complete. His wings no longer burn, they glow softly with memory. I never wanted to rise above, he whispers, only to understand. The heavens are silent, but not empty. The voice answers through every star, you did not fall, my son. You descended so others could rise. And in that sentence, the universe breathes. The angel who refused to bow becomes the bridge between creation and creator. Not saint, not demon, but the reminder that faith must be alive to be true. His light still travels through thought, through truth, through time. For in every soul brave enough to question, the first fire still burns. And when that fire meets grace again, heaven will finally understand itself.